Good morning, everyone. My name is Sterling Higa, Chairperson of the Authority. I'd now like to call to order the December 3rd, 2025 At-Large Authority meeting of the Hawaii Community Development Authority. The time is now 10:18 a.m.
Chair, in accordance with section 92-3.7 or revised statutes, the Hawaii Community Development Authority is holding today's at-large board meeting virtually on Zoom. The Zoom link details were included in the meeting agenda. Therefore, members of the public are welcome to join us on Zoom and also at our physical meeting site at the American Brewery Building, 547 Queen Street, second floor boardroom, Honolulu, Hawaii, 96813. The HCDA communication staff is hosting this meeting. Once this meeting begins, everyone will be muted for clearer audio. Board members, if you have any comments or questions, please unmute yourselves to speak. It is important that all individuals clearly state their name, pseudonym, or other identifier name each time prior to speaking. If you wish to provide oral testimony and you are attending virtually, please indicate so by clicking the raise hand button found on your Zoom screen. If you are attending in person, you'll be called to the front of the room in the order you signed up. Before you begin your testimony, please, we ask that you identify yourself and spell your name for the record. Your testimony must be related to an item on the agenda. All testimony will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. When time has elapsed, time will be called out, after which you will have 30 seconds to conclude your testimony, and then your audio will be turned off. If you're attending in person, the presiding officer will call the next testifier. Keep in mind that this is an opportunity to share your thoughts with us. If you ask questions during your testimony, neither the board nor the staff is required to provide an answer. If the authority's connection for the remote meeting is lost, the meeting will be recessed until the connection is restored. If the connection cannot be restored within 30 minutes, the meeting will be terminated and the authority will continue the meeting at another notice date. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we proceed with the roll call, I'd like to welcome Mr. Sarvis. Is he on? Mr. Luke Sarvis? Is he on Zoom? Well, hopefully we'll be joined by Mr. Luke Sarvis. If he joins us at some point during the meeting, he is the new ex officio designee representing the Department of Land and Natural Resources. HCDA board members, please remain visible and audible during the meeting. Also, please acknowledge you are present by either saying here or present. Let the record reflect the following members are present. Vice Chair Ishii.
Here.
Thank you. Secretary Lidstone.
Here.
Thank you. Member Miranda Johnson.
Here.
Thank you. Member Anderson.
Here.
Thank you. Member Evans is excused. Member Streitz.
Here.
Thank you. Member Forsyth.
Here.
Thank you. Member Sarvis is excused. Member Chana.
Here.
Thank you. Member Sakota.
Here.
Thank you. Member Gordner.
Here.
Thank you. Member Light. Member Leong.
Here.
Thank you. Member Light, I'm going to mark as excused. Member Kabibi. Thank you. And Member Yamasaki is excused. We have quorum. Thank you. For today's meeting, board members will have an opportunity to ask questions or provide comments after an agenda item has been presented. Individuals from the public who have requested to provide verbal public testimony on a specific agenda item are on standby and will be permitted to provide their testimony respectively. Moving to agenda item number 2, approval of minutes. These are the regular meeting minutes of October 1st, 2025. Board members, are there any comments or corrections to these minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are approved as presented. Agenda item number 3 is decision making to consider adopting the policy and procedures to review and evaluate projects to be accepted and executed by the Hawaii Community Development Authority pursuant to Act 252, Session Laws of Hawaii 2025. Mr. Garrett Sasaki, our Chief Financial Officer, will now present the staff report.
All right, so quickly.
You're all good.
Morning, Chair, members. The staff reports included tab 2 in your packet. Act 252 enabled HCDA to assist with other state and county private entities. We need a framework to evaluate and assess projects. So flipping to the draft procedures, there's several criteria that we listed. Requester, who's the requesting agency or entity? How does it align with HCDA's mission, do we have the skill set to do it, staff capacity to do it? We do a risk assessment to, make sure we can do the project, if it's properly funded. We'll summarize that in a table and present that to the board for projects, deemed that we recommend to accept. Great, and thank you. Any
Thank you.
questions?
Mr. Garrett Sasaki, members, comments or questions for Mr. Garrett Sasaki? And just as a note, these projects come to the board for the board's decision-making on approval. So this criteria list is being presented to the board so that the board can vote on whether or not the agency should accept one of these projects. Member Sakota.
Hi, good morning. One of the things, just briefly running through the proposal or the procedures, is just the HCDA. My understanding is has certain, I think they call them additional powers. So as a control factor, if projects get approved and those additional powers are enforced, whether HCDA actually has a control to revoke those powers if criteria is not met. So that's just the one thing I bring up just for consideration.
Member Sakota, thank you for the question. So when you mean revoke those powers, you mean in the course of a project, we would evaluate criteria and then decide whether we wanted to continue? Is that your question?
Yes.
So, technically, I guess that could happen, where we looked at a project originally, based on some criteria and recommended that we proceed with it. And then midway through, something happens where the project is not aligned with those criteria for whatever reason. Technically, I guess we could try to extricate ourselves from it. Practically speaking and realistically speaking, I think I would prefer that we try to work with the agency that asked for assistance and try to work through some of those things and find ways that we can continue working on it. Because I think the impact on the agency we're assisting would, I think, be challenging. Would be great if we ended up, backing out of a project mid-project.
Nope, that sounds reasonable. I wasn't looking for a straight answer. I was just looking at that as an additional risk for the agency going forward.
Thank you, Member Sakota.
Well noted.
Sure.
Thank you, Member Sakota. Member Anderson.
Hi, I'd like to enter into the discussion for the evaluation criteria. If infrastructure is developed, is there an agreement that the county in which the project is being undertaken will accept the infrastructure? I don't know if that's covered
This
by
is an additional criteria recommending.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's covered in another category, but I think that's important to discuss up front.
It could be broadly covered under criteria G for risk assessment. I would think, the non-acceptance of infrastructure is a risk, for the agency. But I take your comments to heart, and maybe we can add some language to risk assessment that talks about, the likelihood of infrastructure built dedicatable to the city.
And to be clear, Director Nakamoto, that this is something the agency thinks about before entering into projects.
To be clear, yeah. So for sure, especially given our past experience.
Yes, scars. Thank you, Member Anderson. Members, comments, questions? Yep.
Oh,
Member Strong.
just wanted to say, I appreciate you bringing this before the board. I think it'll be helpful in kind of keeping some guardrails in terms of what that the agency takes on in the future and to help the board review those projects. I was just curious under the feasibility and readiness, when we talk about implementation, are we talking about like construction, preference for construction projects, or that could also include like planning and design type of work? Because it looks like under part 10, it kind of indicates a preference towards construction projects.
It could be anything, you know,
Okay.
construction is what we're primarily looking at of infrastructure, but it could be anything, any project, and it's more just the overall, you know, is the proposal that's presented to us ready to go? You know, is it actionable?
Okay.
Got
So that
it.
would just be described in the report.
Yes, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think it goes to the kind of question of ripeness, you know, is the project right to go or not, regardless of whether it's construction, shovel ready, or it's planning or otherwise.
Thanks.
That's good. Member Gordner.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is just a comment. You know, when we, as the board, consider development applications, for example, there is a standard permit application form that we see in addition to the staff's evaluation. So just a comment or a suggestion might be to consider a request template that has standard fields. In particular, I think the important information about a project that I don't see in the review and evaluation criteria explicitly is the budget and the timeline overall. I mean, you have it interpreted through, G, for instance, if it's a very long or uncertain type timeline. But I think that some basic information about projects presented in a standard format would help the board deliberate better in the future. Thank you.
Member Gordner.
So, we have exhibit A, that's the, you know, initial way to document a project, you know, written into the staff or into the procedure is, these are the first few projects coming through. We'll learn from the requests that come in and refine this policy procedure. The proposal is every 2 years.
Got it. Members, comments or questions? Seeing none, thank you, staff. Do we have persons pre-signed up for testimony? Any persons present or online who wish to provide testimony? Okay, we will close public testimony. And I'm looking, board members, is there a motion for the board to adopt the policy and procedures for projects pursuant to Act 252 Session Laws of Hawaii 2025 to review and evaluate projects to be an acceptance or non-acceptance pursuant to Act 252 Session Laws of Hawaii 2025? Do I hear such a motion?
So moved.
Moved by member Strites. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I'll second.
I heard member Gordner first. So on the motion, moved by member Strites and seconded by member Gordner. Members, is there any further discussion on the motion? Not, I'll ask Garrett to take the roll call vote.
Thank you, Chair. So on that motion, member Straits.
Aye.
Member Gordon.
Aye.
Vice, and it's from the top, Chair Higa,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ishii,
Yes.
member Lidstone,
Aye.
member Miranda Johnson,
Yes.
member Anderson.
Oh, he has to drop off.
Okay. Excuse.
Member Forsyth,
Yes.
member Sarvis is not on, right?
Excuse.
Okay, excuse. Member Chena,
Yes.
member Sakota,
Yes.
member Leong,
Yes.
and member Kabibi.
Excuse.
Oh.
Oh, she's a member to be so on.
Member Kabi,
So for some reason we can't hear you. Thumbs up?
thumbs up.
Or down? Maybe she can't hear us either. Yes, she says yes. Okay.
Motion passes.
He's excused.
Is that 11 yes?
Yes,
Or
11 yeses.
11 yes, 5 excused. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett. Sasaki, we'll move now to consider adopting revised policy and procedures for reviewing solicited and unsolicited offers to lease or develop property owned by the Hawaii Community Development Authority. Ms. Lindsay Doi, Asset Manager, will now present the staff report. Ms. Lindsay Doi.
Thank you. Good morning, members. This action item is located under tab 3 of your packet. The last time we came to the board for something like this was all the way back in 2018. So it's been a while. A lot of you probably haven't seen a leasing policy. But generally, the leasing policy is something we as staff use whenever we get a proposal, from any entity who sees land that we own that they're interested in. And we felt that with us acquiring a lot of properties actually in the last year, a lot more than we ever have before, it was prudent to revisit this policy since it has been a while, and to further clarify it with a few additional components and add some flexibility in there as well. So the policy is listed in your packet for you. I'll just briefly summarize. It doesn't necessarily change what we've done, it just adds to it. So you'll see that it still does include components for considering the duration of a lease, which we had before, for how do you solicit proposals, which we had before, for considering unsolicited proposals, as well as when we can consider nominal rent or below market terms. So those are things that were in place before that we are keeping. But we are adding something to differentiate between long-term leases, which we say is anything longer than 5 years, versus interim use agreements, so things under 5 years. Generally, we see those short-term interim uses for things like vacant buildings or pieces of land that aren't being used. And they're just kind of waiting, either waiting for us to redevelop, such as in the case with all of the Block P properties we recently acquired, or just, buildings that we have that maybe we don't have a plan for developing yet. So those are pretty much the properties that we're targeting, developing a leasing plan for, as well as other long-term lease agreements, for other properties like, redevelopment leases, say, on properties that we want to build housing or build new developments. Those would be our long-term leases. So we do have some criteria in the policies listed before you. Again, the long-term leases would of course be brought back to the board for your approval. Those long-term leases are things that we could solicit through RFQs, RFPs. We could consider unsolicited proposals. We would have evaluation committees score the submissions, make sure that they are financially prudent, they align with our mission. And then the short term, less than 5-year agreements, we are requesting some degree of flexibility there to allow our executive director to administratively approve those so that we don't have to keep, coming to you for these short-term agreements. If there's any questions though about the actual policy, I'm happy to clarify or answer anything.
Thank you. Members, comments or questions about this proposed policy? Member Strites.
Okay, so I see that you're defining long-term as 5 years or more, and so under 5 years could be administratively handled, but then it does look like you're proposing to also have an administrative option to extend those 5-year leases for another 5 years, which could be technically considered long-term.
Correct.
Yeah.
So anything over 5 years would trigger that board request. So right now it's 1 year. So if I extend someone, into a second year, I come to the board. So similarly, if I have a 1-year agreement, I could do that 4 times before coming to the board if this is approved. But once it goes into year 6, we would come to you I don't know how likely that'll be, just because the 5 year and under threshold was set from a practical standpoint. If it's an interim use, which these things would be, probably within 5 years, we would be ready to do something with that property. Like the Block P properties will probably be in development of those properties within the next 5 years. So if I were to lease those out short term to somebody, I probably wouldn't, be doing that with them 5 years from now.
Okay, and then I saw the flexibility mechanisms in table 1B, the early termination clauses. Is that a standard? Or that's just something optional that you consider?
So it is something standard that we have for short-term agreements like right of entries. For right now, the 1 year right of entries, they usually have like a 30-day termination. So we would want 30, 60, 90, some sort of termination option for those short-term agreements to be included. But that does just give us the flexibility in case we need to take it back for ourselves to redevelop, we can.
Okay, thanks.
Member Sakota.
Good morning, Lindsay. This policy is for all of HCDA's community districts, community development districts?
Correct, correct.
Okay, not just Kakako and Kalailoa.
It seems a little bit Kakako centric, just because we do have the majority of our leasable or attractive leasable properties here. But it would be unilaterally applied to all HCDA properties that we currently own and may own in the future.
Gotcha. And just for my guide, the proposal has 234 acres. What's the actual split of that between all the districts? Or is that just
it's not Kakako. Actually, the majority of that is Kalailoa. So a lot of it is, vacant, kiave brush covered land.
Okay.
9 acres are spread out in Kakako. So the Kakako lands are probably the most attractive. They include buildings, urban, core lands. So in all likelihood, this policy will probably be applied most to the Kakako lands, but it could extend to Kalailoa and others. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Chair, if I can clarify.
Please.
So, and Member Sakota, as Lindsay mentioned, this would apply to mostly to lands within our district. But the reason we're bringing this to the General Authority Board is because under Act 252, we could use our powers outside the district. It's possible that we could acquire lands outside of our district, then those lands would be subject to this policy as well. And I think it's helpful to look at this policy, in conjunction with our real estate development, plan that the board adopted recently as to properties that HCD owns, and how we're looking at strategically how those lands should be handled, some for monetization, some for non-monetization. And I think how Lindsay has developed this policy is that a term of 5 years or more on a lease or development agreement represents to us a more significant commitment of a HCD asset that would require board approval. And the threshold is there to, as Lindsay mentioned, to provide some amount of flexibility, but yet put some guardrails around what the agency could do administratively. So thank you, Chair.
Great. Thank you. Members, any other comments or questions? None. We'll move now to public testimony. Do we have any persons pre-signed up for testimony? Any present or online who wish to provide testimony? Seeing none, we will close public testimony. Members, any questions or comments? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion for the board to adopt the presented policy and procedures for reviewing solicited and unsolicited offers to lease or develop property owned by the Hawaii Community Development Authority, to review and evaluate proposals to be an acceptance or non-acceptance. Do I hear such a motion?
There might be.
Sorry,
I think. Member Gordner.
Sorry, Member Gordner, did you have?
I did have one question. I apologize. I'm not sure why my hand was lowered. I was curious to know if you had examples of unsolicited proposals coming in before. Has that portion of the existing policy ever been used? And if so, can you give a couple of examples?
Yes, so we can, unsolicited proposals was something that was included in the 2018 policy. Under that, set of policies, we did have the Ponokea proposal for Kalailoa. If some of you may recall, that was for the parcel near the Cultural Heritage Park above the park parcel. So that group, came to us with a proposal for a wave pool resort type of development. And we did evaluate it, we discussed it with the proposer. We brought it to the board. Ultimately, it did not go through, but we did apply the unsolicited proposal policies to that request.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Gordner. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, is there a motion for the board to adopt the presented policy and procedures for reviewing solicited and unsolicited offers to lease or develop property owned by the Hawaii Community Development Authority to review and evaluate proposals to be an acceptance or non-acceptance? Do I hear such a motion?
So move, Kevin Sakota.
By Member Sakota, do I hear a second?
Second, Member Kabibi.
Seconded by Member Kabibi. Members, is there any further discussion on the motion moved by Member Sakota and seconded by Member Kabibi? If not, I will ask Lindsay to take the roll call vote.
Okay. Members, the motion has been made and seconded. On that motion, Member Sakota,
Yes.
Member Kabibi,
Yes.
let's see, Vice Chair Ishii,
Yes.
Secretary Lidstone,
Aye.
Member Miranda Johnson,
Yes.
is Member Anderson?
Member is excuse that we left the meeting.
Let's see, Member Streitz.
Aye.
Member Forsythe,
Yes.
Member Chena,
Yes.
Member Gordner,
Yes.
and Member Leong.
Yes.
Motion passes. Oh, I'm sorry, Chair Higa.
Yes.
And then member loading, member Sarvis
Oh, is he back?
excused.
Member Sarvis is
Member
excused.
Sarvis was excused.
Member Life is excused.
And member Yamasaki is excused.
Sorry, yes.
Okay.
So 5 excused and is it 2,
11, yeah.
6, 8, 10, 11? Yes, the motion passes.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay Joy. Board members, agenda item. The next one is to consider authorizing the executive director to allow HCDA under Act 252 Session Laws of Hawaii 2025 to 1, assist the Agribusiness Development Corporation, ADC, a public body corporate and politic and an instrumentality and agency of the state in the development of the Central Oahu Agricultural and Food Hub located in Whitmore Village, Wahiawa, Oahu, and further identified by tax map key numbers 7-1-002-004 and 009, collectively referred to as the Whitmore South parcels, and nearby parcels of land also located in Whitmore Village, Wahiawa, Oahu, and further identified by Oahu tax map key numbers 7-1-002, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, and 44, collectively referred to as the Whitmore North parcels, by acting as ADC's owner's representative / project manager for the development of the Whitmore South parcels and Whitmore North parcels, and 2, enter into a memorandum of agreement with ADC that memorializes the respective responsibilities and duties of HCDA and ADC for the development of the Whitmore South parcels and Whitmore North parcels. Mr. Craig Nakamoto, Executive Director, will now present the staff report.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, board members. The staff report for this agenda item is located in tab 4 of your board packet. Just for context, this kind of request by agencies is something that following the enactment of Act 252 that gave the agency the additional powers to help other state, county, federal, private agencies. It could come up, frequently in the future as requests for assistance. This particular project aligns with the mission of HCDA in that Agribusiness Development Corporation is charged with developing former agricultural lands into agriculture-related businesses. HCDA's role is to develop or redevelop lands that were underutilized into different developments that help with economic development. ADC has a small staff and with little experience in doing these kind of projects and overseeing this kind of projects. So they asked us for assistance to oversee the entire project. If you look at Exhibit A in your attached to the staff report, you'll see that the project is divided into what's so-called Whitmore North and Whitmore South parcels. The Central Wahoo Agricultural Food Hub is the centerpiece of the project. It is envisioned as a place where food production, value-added food production will take place. There is a DOE centralized kitchen being constructed. It's anticipated that there will be agricultural warehouses that will serve the agricultural community. It is also anticipated that there will be workforce housing on the site. Across Whitmore Avenue, there's another parcel of land that ADC owns or will own in the future. That parcel is envisioned to be the site of future farm fairs put on by the Farm Bureau and a site reserved for the Leeward Community College agriculture program. Exhibit B describes through a press release by the governor about the groundbreaking ceremony for the food hub and the importance of this site for resiliency, food security, and especially in the case of the DOE centralized kitchen, a place where more local ingredients can be used in the making of food for DOE meals. In Exhibit C to the staff report, you'll see an aerial view of the approximately 34 acres that encompass the central agricultural food hub. Exhibit B shows the layout that I described earlier, which is ag warehouses, a greenhouse, office and administration. There's the HPP facility is a high pressure processing facility that uses high pressure to pasteurize food and take out pathogens. The normal way of pasteurizing food is heat processing. This uses high pressure systems. So for example, a product can go through this and the shelf life of a product can be increased by a certain amount of time. And this will ensure that producers, local vendors don't have to pull their products off the market because it's achieved a certain shelf life. The EPMF facility is envisioned as a kind of a test kitchen and facility where these kind of products processing can be tested. The other agency that's going to have a presence there is the Department of Law Enforcement at the entrance to the park. There will be funding for this, and there is anticipated that we will get a fee from the project funds for this. And we perceive that there are low-level risks to this, and these low-level risks can be mitigated. primarily the low level risk are insufficient funding, unclear scope. But I think we can address those with a MOA that clearly states the roles and responsibilities of ADC and HCDA. We will have to hire a consultant to help us, and then we do have the staff resources currently to undertake this project, which I think is important for the state as well as the community in that area. And there is general support in the community for a project like this. So, Chair, thank you for allowing me to present and open to any questions from the board.
Great, thank you, Director Nakamoto. Members, comments or questions for staff? Member Dakota.
Aye. Craig, everything, it sounds great, right? It sounds perfect, like it's going according to sort of our strategic plan. The one request that I would have is, since it is sort of the first steps for the HCDA to get involved with projects like this, that the HCDA put some pretty firm metrics on how the project is performing through time, mainly to tell a story of the HCDA's effectiveness in contributing to a project like this. A lot of hand waving. Usually I see a lot of hand waving and just non-measured results. So I'd like to see the HCDA really put some numbers and metrics on the success or the overall success of such a project.
Thank you, Member Sakota, and you're right. This is probably the first of, we anticipate many projects like this. For metrics around a project, I just direct your attention to the previous the board agenda item. It's in tab 2 in the procedure item 4.1 project review. It requires us to include measurable outcomes or performance metrics. And it says these measures will support the evaluation of both project effectiveness and inform future decisions regarding similar proposals. So if that's sufficient, I think it's included already in the procedure that Garrett presented.
Okay, I would just add that, I mean, I'm mainly thinking about it in terms of leverage to get future funding for the HCDA. Telling a good story and saying, hey, it's efficient, it's money efficiently spent. So.
Yeah, and I agree, and it's kind of what I talk to the staff about all the time. It's what have you done for me lately, and so we let our actions and the outcomes we have speak for themselves. And so I think if we do a good job on this, and the champions of the project are happy with our assistance, I think it bodes well for future projects. Member Sakota.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Member Sakota. We'll go in order: Member Leong, then Member Gordner, then Member Lidstone. Member Leong.
Hi, I was curious about your plans for the housing, because at Heiau, it's always been an issue that I've worried about. When people occupy homes on a 437-acre piece of property, they begin to own it, and that is not what I want to see there. So I was wondering what you had in plans for that piece of property.
So the plans for the property and what you see in the layout as workforce housing has been developed by ADC working with the UHCDC group. The plans and the type of housing and what it's going to end up being is still a little bit early in the planning process. I think they have to go through more. ADC is also going to do a business plan for the project. And then secondly, so our role in this, again, to be clear, is we're going to act as a project manager and owner's rep for Agribusiness Development Corporation to make sure that the project is built and is coordinated. I think the program program elements of the project are gonna be largely dictated by the owner, which is Agribusiness Development Corporation. So I think there's more to come on what the housing will look like.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Member Leon.
Thanks, Member Leong. Member Gordner.
Thank you, Chair. One question, one comment. The question is, will this be the board's first and only look at this? In other words, the MOA and so forth, if we approve today, will all proceed without any additional board review or approval?
Thank you for the question, Member Gordner. The way that the action item is structured, I think the answer is yes. That it will allow us to enter into the memorandum of agreement with Agribusiness Development Corporation. But I would also note that much of the elements of the MOA are already contained in the staff report. Secondly, if the board members would like, we can periodically present updates to the board as this project proceeds, and also inform of any kind of challenges we're facing, with the project, going towards project metrics and outcomes.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Executive Director. I think that would be helpful, especially for this project, as we're all learning together, so the board can understand whether the policy that we've just approved is working and what changes might need to be made in the future. I will be supporting this for learning and because I do see it as a meritorious project. But I will say I have two reservations about the staff report as it's drafted. What we are being asked to authorize today is a project that has an unclear scope for an unknown price. So I trust staff to work through that in a responsible way. But in the future, for future requests, I feel much more comfortable if we knew what the precise role that HCDA is being asked to play is in advance, what what we can expect to receive in terms of resources for that. And specifically, I know the MOA will go into detail about this, but specifically in the discussion section under the scope, the item number I, conduct any and all other necessary tasks to facilitate the development of the project consistent with the final master plan. I understand there's a need to write some flexibility into the MOA, but I also do not want us to get into a situation where we effectively write a blank check to another agency and kind of tie ourselves in perhaps an unproductive way to the outcomes of a project that we may support, but we do not actually own. So thank you for hearing out my comment, and good luck.
Thank you, Member Gordon. Just one final comment. As to the task I, it is intended to be a catch-all, obviously, for other tasks. But I am cognizant, and I think staff is cognizant of scope creep in a project like this, especially when there is a main stakeholder in Agribusiness Development Corporation, but other stakeholders. So we will be very mindful of scope creep as we go through this and try to keep our scope limited to what's generally described as kind of a project manager or spec.
Thank you, Member Gordner. Member Lidstone, did you still have a question?
Oh, no question. Just a comment. I really support this project. This is nice balance to what HCDA does. I think it's very timely as well here in our Hawaii to support a project that is really mission focused on food security. Like Member Gordner, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this evolves as time goes on. So mahalo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Secretary Nitzel.
I just have one comment. Thank
Okay.
you to Director Nakamoto and the staff. When the board adopted the new strategic plan that provided for helping other sister agencies in the county and the state, this I think was exactly the kind of project we had in mind. And I think when the legislature passed Act 252, this was exactly the kind of project they had in mind. And it's great that at this meeting we've set conditions, you know, in terms of what kind of proposals the board will be able to hear in terms of alignment with that strategic plan with Act 252. And it's great to see the first Act 252 project here for approval.
Thank you, Chair.
So thank you, staff, for all your work on that. Members, any comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll move to public testimony. Any persons pre-signed up for testimony? Any present or online wishing to provide testimony? Seeing none, we will close public testimony. Members, any comments or questions? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion for the board to authorize the executive director to allow HCDA under Act 252 Session Laws of Hawaii 2025 to 1, assist the agribusiness ADC in the development of the project as described in the staff report. 2, enter into a memorandum of agreement with ADC that memorializes the respective responsibilities and duties of HCDA and ADC for the development of the project. And 3, take all actions necessary to effectuate the purposes of this floor action. Do I hear such a motion?
I so move.
Moved by Member Leong. Do I hear a second?
Second, Lidstone.
Seconded by Secretary Lidstone. Thank you. Members, any further discussion on the motion moved by Member Leong and seconded by Secretary Lidstone? If not, I'll ask Craig to take the roll call vote.
Thank you, Chair. On the motion made by Member Leong and seconded by Member Lidstone. Member Leong,
Yeah.
Secretary Lidstone,
Aye.
Vice Chair Ishii,
Yes.
Member Miranda Johnson,
Yes.
Member Anderson is excused, Member Strites,
Yes.
Member Forsyth,
Yes.
Member Sarvis, still excused. Member Chinook,
Yes.
Member Sakota,
Yes.
Member Gardner,
Yes.
Member Light is excused, Chair Higa.
Yes.
Chair, the motion passes. Thank you. Oh, Member Kabibi, I'm sorry. Thank you. Member Kabibi.
Yes.
Member Yamasaki
Yeah,
is
Member Yamasaki
excused.
is
That's 11 yes, 5 excused,
Thank you, Armin.
and 1 vacant. Thank you. Moving to agenda item number 4, report of the executive director. These are the monthly report and other status reports, including monthly financial highlights for October 2025. Executive Director Nakamoto will now provide his monthly report with Garrett Sasaki, Chief Financial Officer, on standby for any questions from board members.
Thank you, Chair. The monthly highlights are provided in tab 5 of your packet. And is there any questions? Garrett's also available to answer.
Members, comments or questions on the Executive Director's report? Seeing none, we will open public testimony. Any persons pre-signed up for testimony, any present or online wishing to provide testimony? Seeing none, we will close public testimony. Members, any final questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you to those who joined us on Zoom or in person. That concludes our business for today. The meeting is adjourned. The time is now 11:06 a.m. We will start our next meeting in 4 minutes at 11:10.